Hello, my friends. Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. Happy to have you. I got a great guest this week. Jeff Garlin is going to be a lot of fun. I interviewed him a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I'm banking episodes so that when I go to Ireland and Spain this summer, I can take a couple weeks off. So I got a bunch of good podcasts coming up. I hope you guys enjoy. We got Rob Corddry's going to be on. We got Pauly Shore is coming on. Kirk Fox. Bunch of good people. So stay tuned. Keep listening. And what's going on with me? I don't know if you guys, I've told you a bunch of times, in an Irish family, you gravitate to the successful members of the tribe as a way of justifying the kind of like low self-esteem that Irish people have. And it's almost like, hey, look, we're not so bad. We got this guy. This guy's doing good. We're okay. We're not a bunch of drunks. We're not potato slopping, famine riddled. We had John F. Kennedy. So anyway, in my family, sadly, that person was me for a while. And as my cousin Dennis likes to call me, the homosexual clown. So, but he's really talking about Tim Dillon. But anyway, his son, Denny McCarthy, is the new trophy of the family. And I'm very proud of him. This past weekend, he played in, I think the tournament's called the Memorial. And it's a big tournament because it's Jack Nicklaus's tournament. And, it's a big-time pro tournament. And he almost won it. He was leading for the last, 4 or 5 holes by 2 shots, and then he tied with another guy, and they went to extra holes, sudden death. It's got to be a lot of pressure to be involved in anything called sudden death. I mean, why not look at the upside? What about calling it possible second place? Wouldn't that be a nice way to look at it? I mean, you're not nervous enough. You got 50,000 people following you, staring at you, millions watching on TV, and you're suddenly in some gladiator event. So he went to he bogeyed I'm not going to get into details because I don't know how interested people are in golf, but just know I'm very proud of my cousin. He did amazing this weekend. He's my first cousin's son. And his father is one of my favorite cousins. I hope he comes out. The U.S. Open is in 2 weeks, and Denny McCarthy will be playing in the U.S. Open. He came in 6th place last year, and I'm trying to get some tickets now to go. Take my son. He and I golf together a lot. I know this sounds all very white, but listen, I do black stuff too. I imagine the things I could say right now that would come out wrong. Don't say anything, Greg. Don't make a joke. So anyway, that's going on. We got in golf also, there's the Live merger. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but basically Saudi Arabia, the woman-hating, homosexual killing, journalist assassinating country of Saudi Arabia, is trying to whitewash their image by having a golf league called the Live. And a bunch of big players, Bryson DeChambeau and Phil Mickelson, Brooks Koepka, they all left. They got paid $100 million each, or $50 million, depending on how big you are. And they basically turned their backs on the PGA and went and just fucking took money from the evil empire. Well, anyway, so that league's only been going on 6 months. And now there was an announcement today that the PGA and Live are merging, which is crazy because so many players on the PGA were offered crazy amounts of money. Rory McIlroy, and they said no. they wouldn't take that filthy money. And now that Liv bought the PGA, they're taking the filthy money. They have no choice. Golf is now owned by Saudi Arabia. It's fucking crazy. So, I mean, they just have so much money. They have so much wealth that buying a sports league is nothing to them compared to the PR they get out of being associated with this kind of like, high-end sport. So anyway, that's going on. Enough about golf. Oh, actually, I played golf yesterday. I walked the picket line today with some friends. The Writers Guild is on strike, so I walked all day. Yesterday, though, I played golf, and you always feel guilty because, you should be walking the picket line as much as you can. But this was a benefit. We were doing a benefit golf tournament, and they invite celebrities to play in the tournament, and they hook you up with a group of people, and you play with the people you never met. And the guys I played with were fucking amazing. I mean, like one guy I think is a legitimate billionaire. His company produces all of the fruit juice for the country. He's huge. Him and his cousin. And they were the fucking coolest dudes. They were so much fun, so polite, but ball busters at the same time. And a couple of their friends. And it was a tournament raising money for the Italian, scholarships for this Italian-American museum in LA. And Joe Pesci played in the tournament. I did the tournament last year, played with Joe Pesci. I was about to chip, and he got there late. And I caught him out of the corner of my eye. I saw him, and I was just about to chip onto the green. And I got so thrown off by seeing him that I sculled the ball across the green, and he just walks past me, and his first words to me were, "What the fuck kind of shot was that?" It's fucking legendary. He drives the golf cart right across the green. He doesn't give a shit. Santino was there. Andrew Santino and I hung out a bunch. And Tom Dreesen and Joe Mantegna, Ray Romano. Good group. And everybody told a joke. After dinner, you tell one, like, street joke. Because they used to have comedians each do, 10 minutes. It was too long. The audiences weren't great. And they found that if everybody just tells one great joke, that it's a lot of fun. So here's my joke. This is my joke. Guy is driving down a country road, looks up, sees a wooden sign hammered to a tree. It says, "Talking dog, $200. He's like, what? Drives a little further, sees another wooden sign pointing down a dirt road. Talking dog, $200. He's got to satisfy his curiosity. Takes the right, goes down the dirt road, sees a dirt driveway, down the dirt driveway, and there's a barn at the end of it. Farmer, old guy in overalls. Sitting next to him is his old hound dog. And he rolls down the window, he goes to the farmer, he goes, "So is this the talking dog?" And the dog goes, "Why are you talking to him? I'm the talking dog." He goes, "You want to talk to somebody? Why do you talk to a guy? Why do you talk to a dog who's a Navy SEAL, who did 3 tours of Afghanistan, sniffed out bombs, saved dozens of lives, who got a PhD from Harvard in linguistics, who marched with the Black Lives Matter, and then the guy looks at the farmer and he goes, Jesus Christ, he goes, "This is incredible. Why would you be selling this dog for $200? And the farmer goes, "Because he's a fucking liar." It's a pretty good joke. Got big laughs. And then, big dinner. It was so nice. But anyway, my point being, I was driving to the course, and the course is called Lakeside, and it's right next to Warner Brothers, the lot. And so there was a lot of picketers out on the street, and I literally had to drive through the picket line to get to the golf course. And, everybody on the street, they honk when they go by the picketers in support, and I'm honking like, "Hey, get the fuck out of my way. I'm trying to play golf today, people." So I marched today with Gibbons and our friend Dickie, he's the Rosie's Bagels guy. If you guys live on the west side of LA and you enjoy bagels, he makes these Montreal style. They're boiled in molasses. They're soft on the inside, crispy on the outside. He delivers them to your house with any spreads you want, lox, the whole deal. Great price. Go to rosiesbagelsla.com and order yourself some bagels. He's a good friend, does great business. And Carol Leifer. I had breakfast with Carol Leifer before the march. She's the great, legendary Carol Leifer. She was a writer on Seinfeld for a long time. Elaine is based on her. I think Jerry might have dated Carol briefly. I know Paul Reiser dated her. And she's just the greatest chick. She's so much fun. And we had a nice breakfast, and then we marched for a while. And she's a big fan of the Sunday Papers podcast. She's been on my podcast. She's been on Fitzdog Radio. I gotta get her back on Fitzdog Radio. I forgot to ask her. Hopefully she'll come back on. I think she will. And we marched, and there was a lot of characters online. There was a girl that I wrote with on a show. I mean, this goes back 20 years. I wrote on a show with her. And I really liked her. We were good friends. And then I walked past her on the picket line, and I could not remember if her name was Tracy or Stacy. And so I didn't say hi, and I think she saw me, and she didn't say hi to me. That's what's weird about the picket line, is there's people that you kind of know, and I would have loved to say hi to her and catch up, but I didn't want to embarrass myself by having the wrong name. And now I'm remembering her last name. It's Stacy Littlejohn. And she's a big-time writer. And we both started out, I think our first writing jobs were on Cedric the Entertainer Presents. And anyway, so I didn't say hi to her. And then another guy comes up to me, and I hate this. I hate this. He goes, "Hey, Greg, you remember me?" And I look at him like, don't do that. Come on, man. You got on sunglasses and a hat, and I don't know. And I go, "No, I'm sorry, I don't." And he goes, "Rob, I was the writer's assistant on Lucky Louie," which was Louis C.K.'s show on HBO that I wrote on. And he was the writer's assistant. And I go, "Hey, man, I was happy to see him. I always remember him being a good guy. I think they actually gave him a script to write at one point because he was a really sharp dude." And that's kind of how you work your way up as a writer in this town, is you become a writer's assistant, which is a tough job. It's long hours, and it's kind of hard work, but you're in the writer's room, and so you're watching how it gets done. And then you get to actually pitch jokes after you've been there for a little while and kind of prove yourself. And then a lot of times you get hired as a writer. So anyway, so I said to him, I go, "So how have you been doing?" Yeah, I said, "Have you been writing on any shows?" And he goes, "Yeah." He kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And he's like, yeah. I go, "What are you working on now?" He's like, Dave. I said, "Oh, that's great. I just saw Santino yesterday." And then somebody interrupted us, which they do, which is rude. If two people are fucking talking, let them talk. Don't just walk up and tap them on the shoulder, you know? And so I get distracted, and then he goes, "All right, I'll see you later." It was kind of like put off, I think. And then I looked him up on IMDb when I got back to my office, and the guy is like one of the biggest showrunners in Hollywood. He was running Always Sunny in Philadelphia forever. He was running Dave. He was running like a couple other really good shows. And so once again, my networking skills are poor. I'm just the worst. What else? All right, let's get to it. Couple of emails came in. A guy says, we used to have a segment where people say things wrong. Here's a story of a friend getting a saying wrong. I was telling my friend about a fight I witnessed. Small guy was up in this big guy's face for 5 minutes, just giving it to him, calling him a pussy, saying how he could beat the shit out of him if he wanted. Big guy just stood there and took it. After 5 minutes of this, the small guy says, "Your wife left you because she wants to fuck guys like me, not a fat loser like you." Big guy immediately one punches little guy, knocks him out cold. My friend said, "Oof, that touched a bone." I believe he meant that touched a nerve, not a bone. Yeah. Touching a bone, I think, would have been a punch to knock you out and then another punch. If you grabbed his bone, That's a couple punches and a kick to the ribs while you're unconscious. Then he also says, I have an idea for your fastballs with Fitz. Few with Fitz? How about the Fitzdog 5? And he added a question that I like, that I might start working in. Best, worst advice you've ever received. That's good. I've never done that one. Anyway, that's from Clark. Thank you, Clark, for your email. And then, all right, let's get to it. My guest today. Oh, no, let's do an ad. Let's talk about, oh, boy. I like GameTime.co, not com, .co. But really, it's an app. You should be downloading the app. If you're somebody that enjoys concerts, sporting events, whatever, you can get yourself some last-minute tickets for way below what most people are paying. It's fast. It's super easy to use. I love the app, and they show you what's going on in your area. You like comedy, you can see all kinds of comedy shows. I'm going to look for I'm going to the U.S. Open next week. I have waited. Tickets are a little high, but they're going to go down on Game Time. That's what happens on Game Time. You kind of sit it out and you wait. You keep an eye on it, and then you pull the trigger, and it goes right to your phone. You don't have to print anything. You don't have to go through 3 steps. It's just in your phone. They get a best price guarantee. So if you find the same ticket in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They've got exclusive flash deals, football, basketball, baseball, concerts, everything. You don't have to do a big plan in advance. Like I know I was stressing out about the U.S. Open, and then I said, what am I stressing about? I get Game Time in my phone. So it's the fastest growing app in the country for a reason. And snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Fitzdog, Fitzdog, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Fitzdog for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay, my guest today, I've known for about 25 years. He's a fine young man. He was the star of the Goldbergs. He is Jeff Green on Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David's manager. He was on Mad About You for a long time, Arrested Development, tons of movies. He was on those, what were those kids' movies that he was on? Daddy Daycare, was it? I think Daddy Daycare. Paranormal, WALL-E, Toy Story 3. Anyway, we had him in a few weeks ago. Had a blast. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, and my tour dates, I forgot to mention. I will be coming to Boston, Massachusetts, Laugh Boston, June 16th and 17th. Pottstown, PA, Soul Joel's on July 20th. Point Pleasant, New Jersey, Uncle Vinny's, July 22nd and 23rd. And then I'm going to take most of the summer off. So get in your concerts. I don't think I'm on Game Time though. So anyway, enjoy the interview. Talk to you later. Take it easy. My guest, Jeff Garlin, is here. Sir,
yes.
I'm saying it first. It's an honor to have you here.
An honor to be with you, sir.
I mean, Not only an honor, but you're a guy you're a mensch. You're a good Jew. You're like a...
Well, that's what a mensch is.
Yeah.
So I take your compliment. I dig it. Thank you.
Did you hear the Friars Club closed in New York?
No!
Yeah.
The one here they tore down. The one there, you always thought there was work being done.
Yeah.
When you went by it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm devastated.
That's horrible.
I spent my 20s in that place.
Oh, and the food was great.
Food was great. They had that Dover sole that they prepared right at your table. Yeah.
Yes, no. That's terrible. That was Milton Berle's townhouse.
Yep.
That's
Henny
horrible.
Youngman was there every day.
Are they talking about reopening the Friars, or is it over?
I don't know. I know that there was some financial malfeasance that took place.
Based on an individual?
Yeah, it was one person. I don't know if they were on the board.
But, it's always a line from radio days. The world would be a wonderful place if it just wasn't for some people. Do you know what I mean? And not tons of people, some people. Some people make the world a difficult place.
No, talk to a teacher. Talk to a teacher. Their class would be great, except that one fucking kid who distracts everybody else, and we were that kid.
Hold on, I was that kid. But here's the thing. Teachers would reluctantly laugh at me.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't deny I was funny. Right. But when we're that kid, we're not mean.
Right.
And we're not trying to fuck her up.
I was trying to make a fun class.
Yeah, but it's just impulse and fun.
Right.
Which, and by the way, even if that was your attitude, there were still some teachers that just hated you.
Yeah.
I mean, I have strong memories of that.
But I have a teacher.
Way, I was just thinking, my yearbook, my senior yearbook,
Florida?
Nova High School, Davie, Florida. My senior yearbook. So the journalism teacher was in charge of the yearbook. And she picked 3 essays of the whole school. Write an essay, and it'll be in the yearbook. So the kids knew she hated me. She hated me. Yeah. She was my teacher. A bunch of hated me. That they sent in mine with a fake name.
I love it.
And she chose mine for the prime position. And
do you remember what the essay was?
It was just about what I'm going to do in my future. And it was pretty funny. And they actually made a mistake. I used the word beekeeper. They used bookkeeper, which is way more logical.
Yeah.
Beekeeper is a nice non sequitur in the story.
Do you remember what you thought you would do back then?
Comedian.
You said that
I talked about being a famous comedian. Oh, yeah. No. I knew I wanted to be a comedian. I was 7 or 8. I went with my family to see Jimmy Durante.
Oh.
And on the way home, but watching him, I was mystified.
Yeah.
I was mystified looking at the audience laughing. And on the way home, I asked my parents, is that a job? They said it is. I said, that's the job that I want. They chuckled, even though starting from nursery school, I was the class clown.
Right.
And the weird thing about my class clownmanship, I love that term, was that the other kids liked me. Usually the class clown is ostracized. Now, mind you, I hung out with everybody, which is unusual. Yes, the nerds, what have you, but everybody, popular kids, like everything. So I was actually the most popular kid in school, and I was beloved as being funny. Now, that is weird and rare.
Because I think you told me you transferred in high school, didn't you? That's a tough thing to do and be popular.
Yeah, but I wanted to do it. 9th and 10th grade, I went to Plantation High School, which was fine. But Nova High School, I couldn't wait. Now, 11th grade, it didn't take right away.
Yeah.
But by the end of 11th grade, certainly in 12th grade,
you locked it down.
Done deal.
You were the guy.
I remember someone had a megaphone for some reason. And at lunchtime, I was with the bullhorn megaphone, and nobody went back to class. And it created all these teachers, all this outrage. And then I was called into the dean's office, who did not enjoy me.
Yeah.
And that was...
How did that go over with your parents? Did they...
Well, they didn't know about that.
Oh, the dean wouldn't call your parents after that?
No. It wasn't something where... but no. If he did, I don't remember. And
you were like a junior Florida Man.
What do you mean?
You ever heard of Florida Man? It's like it's a website, and every story starts with, it's real news stories. Florida Man drives car into Mini Mart, steals ATM machine.
Is there a Florida Man website?
That's a Florida Man
genius.
website. It's
the
hilarious.
only other state that competes with Florida is Ohio.
Oh, that's right.
Ohio Man is also, because it used to be every one of those stories, Ohio, but now it's become Florida Man too. When I was a kid, there weren't many Florida men.
Really?
As the years go on, the Florida men, because, people who are crazy, they come here because of dreams.
Right.
And they may not seem crazy when they get here. But eventually,
to Florida?
To California.
Okay.
They have dreams.
Yeah.
They want something in show business. They have dreams. Florida, those people just go for the weather.
Right.
They have no dreams. except to stay warm.
I think they're also running from things. If you look at geographically, when you can't go any further till you hit the ocean, crazy people. You go to the Keys in Florida, those are the craziest ones.
Well, hold on. I want to defend the Keys.
Really?
I spent time down there.
Okay.
Everyone there is very nice. I haven't met many crazies. The crazies, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
That's where, and I'm not talking homeless. I'm talking wackadoodles.
Right.
Even people that have families that you meet, you go, wow. My mother, I never forget this. My mother, she always talked bad about New Yorkers. I don't like New Yorkers. We're from Chicago.
Yeah.
We moved to Florida.
Well, Chicago people always hated New York because you're the second city.
So I guess she had it. Yes, and that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
I forgot the writer who said no, that was not H.O. Mencken. Maybe it was. Anyhow, the point being is Chicago the second city.
Yeah.
Do you know why Chicago's the windy city?
Why?
Politics.
Oh, it's not about the weather.
The weather's mighty crazy.
Yeah.
And there are winds where you go during winter when you go down between the buildings on a street.
The wind tunnels.
Wind tunnel, you're swearing at everyone, including yourself.
Yeah, my son's graduating from DePaul in the spring. Yeah, we're going to the graduation.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's
That's exciting.
Don't you have a son around my son's age as well?
How old's your son?
22.
Oh, I have one that's 23. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He goes in Savannah to.
Oh, no shit.
SCAD.
That's where, remember Craig Anton?
Yeah, he teaches there.
He teaches there.
Yeah, remember Craig Anton.
Yeah.
No, I know he's a teacher there, and my son's studying virtual reality.
So I said to him, the only profession that will exist in the future.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Right? And he's taken to it. He's always had an interest. So my other son wants to do what we do.
Okay.
Not necessarily stand-up, mind you. But he wants to write comedy, perform comedy.
Great.
Produce, direct. Yeah, but it's a journey.
It's a journey.
And he hates nepotism.
Yeah.
You know what I said to him? I go, you enjoy Dad's money? How is that not nepotism?
Well, I mean, I think nepotism goes beyond you introducing him to somebody.
Oh, no, it's embarrassment.
I think it's really about you see what your father can do and you say, that's possible. It's not just the introductions. It's like, when my father was in radio in New York my whole life, and he was a guy who used to MC dinners with a tuxedo, and he would do a version of stand-up.
Right.
And I saw that, and I went, when you saw
Jimmy Durante,
that was me seeing my own dad and going like, wow, this is the family business. We do this.
Well, by the way, that's what my ex and I, who are still very close, we refer to it as the family business.
Yeah.
So we said, James wants to get in the family business.
Right.
And by the way, here's the difference about James wanting to. James is funnier than me.
No shit.
Larry David told me he's the funniest kid he's ever met. He is so funny, so warm. So it's not like unrealistic dreams.
Yeah.
This is your skill set.
Yeah.
It's your skill set. Because I've always believed, I said this in my last special, but it's a strong belief. Don't follow your dreams. Do what you're great at. And if what you're great is not your dream, then do your dream as a hobby.
Yeah.
But, I'll say to you, how many times do you sit in the back of a room during a stand-up show, a showcase show, and then you watch somebody and you think to yourself, who suggested this?
Yeah,
who said
yeah.
This would be a good idea. And those people, look, when you're funny, you struggle.
Yeah.
When you're funny, it's hard as hell.
Yeah.
You throw in, you're not funny.
Yeah.
The only way you get past not funny is by being hot.
Right. There's a couple comedians that are very good looking right now that have big social media presences and they're headlining all the clubs. But there's so many people that see it as a viable profession. You and I didn't come up looking at it as career. I didn't use the word viable. I didn't use the word career until I was in my 30s.
No, you just wanted to be a comedian.
I just wanted to be funny. I wanted to engage with the energy that I saw of a comedian being on stage in front of a crowd. I wanted that.
That's all I wanted. So what we were going for was the dream of being George Carlin.
Right.
It wasn't like, I'm going to get paid for this. I never thought.
No.
Well, today I obviously think differently because things have become more pragmatic.
Yeah.
But back then, it was only about becoming Richard Pryor, becoming George Carlin. It was only about that. And that person makes money. Yeah. I didn't know about, you learn along the way.
That there was a ladder that you could go up, right?
But those are just, but also, I was with Bobby Lee not too long ago. And we were having a conversation, and he goes, "You're a lifer." I go, "You're a lifer," meaning this is what we do.
Yeah.
There is no anything else.
And it's also when you're lifers, some of the people I came up with that I had beefs with or I didn't respect, now I see them and I hug them and I love them because we're journeymen and we made it this far.
By the way, anytime you've made it this far, but also, it's the only club I like hanging in. I'm not talking about hanging with famous people. By the way, famous bullshit. But I'm talking about hanging with successful comedians. And successful comedians, there's a range.
Yeah.
Okay? But successful comedians who've done it for a long time, those are my favorite people.
Yeah.
That's where I feel warm and at home. Because, and by the way, do not mistake Greg and I, in our conversation of talking about the old days, we're not old men who go, we accept everything that is. You and I find whatever joy there is in our world. But do you find, I want to ask this of you, I have a problem with people who do comedy not for comedy. They do it for fame. They do it for riches. What's his name? The coach, football coach. It'll come to me. Used to coach the Giants, win a Super Bowl. Bill Parcells.
Bill Parcells, yeah.
Bill Parcells, he was doing a conversation talking about a player on TV. He goes, he plays football because he loves football. And what he meant was, this guy's a football player.
Yeah.
And if they made $80 or $80 million, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's a football player. And I find a lot of the comedians today are more concerned with social media, money, fame.
Acting.
Acting. By the way, I love acting.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong.
You didn't get into stand-up to become an actor.
No, I'm not an actor. I'm a comedian who acts.
Right.
And by the way, that's delightful. Drama, comedy, doesn't matter.
Right.
Which, by the way, you play them exactly the same.
Oh, is that the key?
Oh, yeah. There's no spin.
That's the Zucker Brothers
By the way,
secret to comedy?
But no, theirs is an extreme level of that.
Yeah.
Where, Leslie Nielsen is saying it in a way.
Yeah.
It's very dry.
It's almost film noirish.
Yeah, it's almost film noirish.
Yeah.
That's a perfect thing. No, it's just comedy on one side, drama on the other. Well, you just got to be a person.
Right.
So you play them exactly the same.
Right.
And if you're doing comedy and it's not getting laughs, or a movie stinks and it's not funny, that's the writer's fault.
Yep.
If you're playing it straight.
Yep.
I met Neil Simon once, and he said that when actors would come in and put a spin on his writing, they weren't getting the job.
Really?
It's like when you see, there's a thing amongst comedic women where beautiful. I've seen this numerous times. When they get a movie, the poster is like that smile with a fish hook in the side, which is announcing that they're funny. And it's like...
That's hilarious.
You think Sarah Silverman's going to put a fish hook in the corner of her mouth? And she's a beautiful actress.
Yeah.
I meant beautiful in how good she is.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful woman, too. But, you're either funny or you're not.
Yeah.
You're either... And if you play it real, that's why comedians make great dramatic actors, because you just got to play it straight.
Yeah.
You don't have to put a spin. You don't put a spin on your comedy, even stand-up.
Yeah.
You're you.
Yeah.
I'm me.
And stand-up is, and when I'm not connecting with the crowd, that's my meter of like, hey, you're being full of shit right now. You're pushing.
Or time to go to the craft.
Yeah.
There's no more artistry to this.
Yeah.
You have to, because I always, by the way, being primarily an improviser on stage, I thrive on the audience's energy, and I really can only reach heights that the audience lets me reach. Like they're part of it.
Yeah.
But when it's not working or they're sort of indifferent, I go to my craft. I really go down to just the nitty gritty nuts and bolts of being a comedian. And they'll leave there going, oh, that was a good show. I go back to my dressing room. I can't stand. I'm so exhausted.
Yes.
When I have a great set, it's like I'm levitating.
Yeah.
When I have to do my job in a real hard, difficult way, and I do it and I accept it, but especially at my age now, I'm 60, I'm done for a day.
What would you define the tenets of craftsmanship in that Friday Night Late Show in Minneapolis where you got to really go to the nuts and bolts? Like,
I don't do that anymore. I'm too successful. But,
all right, let's say a theater.
No. By the way, this happens during primetime shows.
Yeah.
To me, my favorite nights to perform, unequivocally, Thursday and Sunday.
Thursday and Sunday.
Because those are relaxing nights. You know the weekend's coming. And Sunday's bonus night for what you did this weekend. But for some reason, the people come out more intelligent. Comedy fans. Friday and Saturday, especially Saturday, your weekend's defined by that. What'd you do this weekend? We saw some comedy at the store. The comedy store.
Who was it? I don't remember.
Always, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Always. Comedy fans, they know everyone, you know? And so Thursdays and Sundays. As a matter of fact, in my future, I will only work Thursdays and Sundays.
Well, you know,
I am that now.
Doug Benson does this beautiful thing where he does shows at 4:20 in the afternoon. And so when his crowds come in, they are his crowds. And he doesn't have to give the club any money. He keeps the whole door.
All right, let's have a little conversation about this. And I've known Doug Benson since he's practically a teenager. And I've had some really great times with him. And I think the world of the guy, which means I'm about to diss him. I'm not. It's like, with all due respect, leads into disrespectful. No. The people that come in to see him could be watching an elephant dance and they'd be good with it for 90 minutes. Doesn't mean that he's not funny.
Because they're high, you mean?
Yes. It doesn't. By the way, this is no comment on Doug Benson.
But you still got to make them laugh. High people can also get distracted and sullen.
Hold on. You're not going to stop them from being distracted, no matter how funny you are.
Right.
And like I said, it's putting your office in a space, which, by the way, is Doug's headspace.
Right.
Doug is a stoner. Like, literally, you can use that word with Doug. Doug...
He'll smoke right before he goes on stage.
He'll smoke probably right when he wakes up. You know, so it's not disparaging Doug. It's just saying, when you have an audience like that... And by the way, I don't think they do it anymore. Remember when they used to have comedy shows in dispensaries?
I didn't know about that.
I did one.
So it's like a lounge behind the store?
Yes, I did one. And I vowed I'd never do it again because I'm going in straight. You know, I'm not high. They are so off, and the rhythms are so off that you cannot connect. Therefore, if Doug does a 4:20 show for a room of people in that state, and he's in that state, that's called a perfect match. I'm telling you. Well, you and I on the same bill, we die. Because there's
then
no
you got
hope.
guys like Bert Kreischer who goes up and he drinks 3 or 4 beers on stage, a couple before, and his crowd is all drinking, and that is like euphoric. I think alcohol is well, obviously there's a 2-drink minimum.
No, it's the same thing as Doug, but in a different way. You know, drinkers are rowdy, which is his audience. His audience has all this energy, and he gives them back energy, and he takes his shirt off, and it's a whole, we're drinking beers at fuck it all. You know what I mean? And his audience loves it. He loves it. And that's like a circle, like creating a tornado. You know, and if that's not your style to watch, you're not going to have a good time. And you put me in front of that audience, I'm going to die. It's a unique connection between comedian and audience. Both Bert and Doug. And they've cultivated their audiences. And you got to be, that's so... to be admired, I guess.
Well, there's also some very strong women, Chelsea Handler, who draw big crowds of strong women. And that becomes an experience as well, where they're really in sync. They're there to hear ideas.
Well, they basically are punching the world together as one giant punch of get the fuck out of our way.
Right.
And yes, it's another connection between a comedian and an audience that's unique to them. And it makes this whole thing of like, yeah, because she's edgy as shit.
Yeah.
And the women that see her are not tame.
Right.
And they're not going to be fucked with. I would not want to have a booth at her show saying, can we have a gentle conversation? 20 cents, I'll pay you, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, these are women not to be fucked with.
So what is your connection when your crowd shows up? How would you define your connection to them? What makes them unique to you?
Them unique to me?
Yeah.
They're open-minded.
Yeah.
I mean, they're looking to me to ease their pain. Right. They're looking to me for warmth. By the way, it doesn't mean I don't have strong takes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm a pussy on stage. It just means I'm never clever. I think clever's the enemy of comedy. Mm-hmm. You know, a humorist should be clever.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between a humorist and a comedian.
Yeah, you're not Dave Barry up there.
No.
Right.
Who I imagine is a funny guy.
Yeah, and
I've read his stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it's funny. I say some because some of it is clever and humorous.
Right.
I've never read something of his ever that failed.
Right.
It was all excellent.
Yeah.
But no, for me, the connection is, okay, you'll love this. I went in to a doctor recently because I am, for a myriad of reasons. All fine. I'm fine, everyone, if you care.
Just to stop down for a second. ADHD, diabetes, heart condition.
Bipolar. Had a stroke.
Had a stroke at 36.
36, 37, yeah. No, I've had a mountain of shit. Yeah. But I would say to me, someone would say, does he get through adversity okay? Oh, yeah, he does. And I'm proud of that. And by the way, I know someone in my audience is facing adversity on some level. My job is to ease that, is to make them feel better about themselves. And it's not fake. It's not like, hey, everybody, let's get positive tonight.
Yeah.
I'm a local DJ doing stand-up. I don't want anybody. By the way, local DJs do not even exist anymore. Hey, like if you do an impression of a DJ, it'll fall flat. Yeah. Hey, everybody, we're going to play the songs for you. People go, who talks like that?
Yeah.
But we grew up with so many people who talk like that.
And I love them. And there's a couple left on Sirius XM that do like classic vinyl.
Oh, and by the way, I'm on classic vinyl. They have all the same DJs from that era.
Yep.
I'm on the new wave one, First Wave.
Love the new First Wave.
But they have all
Swedish guy.
Yeah, but those are all DJs who played that back then.
Yes.
And they have that in all the things. So I was going to say to you, the story. Yeah. It's a good story. Like I'm telling you ahead of time, but it is, especially for a comedian.
It's very Jewish to say that.
Well, by the way,
it's a great story.
I'm a big bowl of Jew. All right, so I go to the doctor's office. The nurse who does the pre-interview and checks it and does your blood pressure. I'm just funny per se.
Sure.
That's my strength.
Yeah.
And I'm subtly throwing stuff out. And I'm thinking she's focused. But then I notice other times she's not listening. And then she goes, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm a comedian. Oh, you are? What kind of comedian? I go, I'm on TV and I do stand-up. Oh, are you going to make me laugh? And I knew damn well she was devoid of a sense of humor.
Yes.
Which people are born that way.
Yep.
Some people are just assholes. Some are devoid of a sense of humor. She was a lovely person. And I said to her, you know what? I'm not very good at that. I really don't feel comfortable doing it. Knowing full well, I'd just thrown out about 3 or 4 that should have been landed.
Right.
And they're all innocent and nothing, you know. And so when she said to me, no, I knew immediately, don't try.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the difference between me. Like Taylor... Is it Williamson?
Yeah.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. He does jokes, and he is a craftsman at jokes. He's also a funny guy.
Yeah.
And I laugh hard watching his whole set. So he opened for me a week ago. And he did great. He told his jokes. somehow something came up. And by the way, they were a great audience, and I was going up, and they were elevating me. It was great. But early on, I was talking, Taylor's name came up or something, and I said, Taylor tells great jokes, isn't he? I go, you're not going to get jokes with me. Maybe by accident. I'm just funny.
Yeah.
That's all you're getting is just a guy being funny. I don't have any jokes. And by the way, early in my career when I was bombing a lot and figuring it out, a lot of audiences were confused that I didn't tell jokes.
Right.
I remember that distinctly. Yeah. But I had a vision. I didn't give up.
But I remember once reading that you said sometimes you think you're too comfortable on stage.
Oh, all right. I'm going to say, for any comedian, even the tiniest bit of anxiety or nervousness serves you.
Absolutely.
Serves you.
Right.
Unfortunately for me, I don't have that chip. So when I go on stage, if there's a couch, and there used to be at Flappers, if there's a couch, that's a club in Burbank, if there was a couch, I could go up in front of an audience, say hello to them, and say, I'm just going to take a nap here, and I would fall asleep. And by the way, as an experiment, I've done that a couple times. I completely fell asleep.
You actually...
Yes, because I said, will you go in on the experiment with me? And I promise I won't lie. And I laid there. 2 minutes I was asleep, and I did it until the audience yelled, wake up, wake up. Yeah. But yes, that's how relaxed I am.
Yeah.
And I said to somebody, someone said to me, are you one of the funniest comedians out there? I don't know about that. I can't judge. I'm number one on the relaxed scale. There is no other comedian as relaxed as me.
You and Jeff Ross, I would say.
Yeah, Ross, completely. Yeah. By the way, he couldn't do what he does because he thinks of that stuff if he wasn't relaxed.
Yes.
If he's tense, that ain't working.
Yeah. I am. So if you have bipolar and you're feeding off the audience,
yes,
you are bringing to the stage where you're at, aren't you? I mean, say you're down. Is it harder for you?
I have to rise above it. The audience doesn't want to know I'm down.
Right.
I learned that from Jack Benny. There are those, they were cassettes. Now I have it on CD, and you can get it digitally where it's on comedy.
I have that. I have the whole series.
Oh, you have the whole series?
Yeah.
And some of them are amazing. Jack Benny's remarkable, the things I learned from his alone.
Yeah.
And one of them is when you go up, the audience, if you make what's happening to you funny, great.
Right.
But in general, they don't want to know you have a toothache.
Right.
Unless you make it funny.
Yeah.
They don't want to know. They're there to have either laugh at a minimum and have their souls filled as a bonus. You know?
Yeah, they want to see process sadness. They don't want to have the raw sewage sadness.
But my style, I'll bring that up. But you have to understand, at this point in my life, I have therapy 3.5 times a week.
No shit.
Yeah, 3.5 times a week.
Yeah.
I was having it 7 times a week. I had a breakdown. I was 7 times.
How long ago was this?
A year and a half ago.
Oh, this is around when the Goldbergs thing happened?
Oh, fuck yes.
Right.
Because when you read stuff about you, and look, here's the thing, the Goldbergs thing. I want to say to everyone who read anything, what were your sources?
Right.
Where did you hear that? And who were the people who were speaking on record? Right. There were no sources. Now, I know there was a problem because I was an asshole.
Yeah.
Okay? I was undiagnosed bipolar. Right. I didn't know how bad my ADHD was. Diabetes, not being taken care of, and not being able to sleep due to anxiety and bipolar, and going to work, and then throw in the bottom line, I resented doing the Goldbergs, and I did it 3 different years at the same time as Curb. Do you know what it's like coming from Curb Your Enthusiasm and driving to the set of the Goldbergs? Resentment. That's all on me.
Right.
So I have nothing to say about them or anyone's problems with me.
Yeah.
And, you know, you didn't know what you're going to get. Happy Jeff, angry Jeff. Right. Happy Jeff, sad Jeff. You know, you didn't know. And I felt bad for those people. And that was very unsettling. However, I wanted to leave maybe more than they wanted me to leave. It was a mutual, I got to get the hell out of here.
Instead of a sitcom, a multi-camera sitcom, everybody is on their best behavior. Everybody's kissing everybody's ass.
Yeah.
Everything is positivity. And when you get a raw comedian coming
like myself, who like has ADHD, bipolar, it's like good luck.
Right.
However, what the weird thing is about all of it is my world prior to that, I never had a problem.
Yeah.
How I got away with that with being bipolar, I don't know, because my behavior was very similar.
Are you medicated as well?
I am seeing all the therapists. I am medicated, not heavily, but the right combination.
Right.
I sound a little manic right now, but I'm more in performance mode, even though I'm being real.
No, you're nailing it. Your energy is fucking perfect.
Well, thank you, pal. Yeah. And I'm also in recovery. I have 5 separate addictions. And I go to AA because it covers all of them.
Yeah. No,
it's
that's
like,
the thing
AA
about
is a great one-stop shop for eating and all my stuff. So I'm in recovery. I go to many hours of therapy, and I'm medicated.
Yeah.
So you throw that all together, I'm rocking it. I'm groovy as can be.
So when you had your breakdown, you also got divorced around that time.
No, I split with my wife 2 or 3 years, a couple years before. Okay. And by the way, she and I couldn't be closer.
Right.
So, but by the way, divorce, even in its best world, is still horrible.
Right.
And I always loved her.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really hard on me and hard on her. That happens. I can't imagine where a divorce, I mean, I can because you see it, where it's literally clashing fists.
Yeah.
Because being loving, being supportive, not being defiant, it's still so incredibly painful.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, I was going through that. No, I'll admit something here that I've never said before.
Okay.
The Goldbergs thing took me by such surprise. Well, no. I had a breakdown because I wanted to leave the show, but I only had 7 days of work left. I only worked 1 day a week, by the way. It's also called Be Careful What You Wish For, because not only was it Jeff Garlin's an asshole, it was Jeff Garlin's an asshole. He works 1 day a week.
Yeah.
We work 5.
Yeah.
I'm the only, because I didn't want to come back.
And you're getting your full quote. You're getting your...
I got a raise. And what it is be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
And also, money does not, it matters in terms of surviving life.
Yeah.
And I understand money's important.
Yeah.
But in that case, don't do stuff for money.
Right.
Don't. And so, all right, I'll tell this story, which will lead into where I ended up. I love that I'm confessing this with you.
This is great.
So, my last day I had to go to HR almost every day for non sequitur songs about my grandma's balls, etc., which some people were offended by.
Yeah.
Yet for me, it was stupid non sequitur stuff, not disrespectful, nonsense.
Not aimed at anybody.
No, pure nonsense. So, by the way, if you know me, you could see how it, in this new world, how it could become that.
Yeah.
Because I love all types of people.
Right.
You know, however you identify. Women, I don't care. I treat everybody kindly.
Yeah.
But some people, devoid of sense of humor, who might be nice people, might not. It's not for me to decide. They get offended. Instead of telling their superior, who might tell the producer, who would tell me, they go right to HR. And I'm not talking about this show. I'm talking about all of show business. Because I want to repeat, the Goldberg stuff is on me.
Yeah.
It ain't on how other people dealt with it or whatever. That's their business. What they said about me, whether I agree or disagree, that's okay. I'm pointing out what I did.
Good for you.
And why because you always have to look at what's my part in this. So here's where it's their part in a big way. The day I knew I was never coming back. So, HR would say, please, can you, they would tell me all the time, save your comedy for the stage. And I go, I'm doing a comedy show. And I wanted to add, I'm bored out of my mind on this show. And by the way, my behavior on the Goldbergs, no different than on Curb. No different than any show I've ever been on or since.
And you've been on a million shows.
Yes, I've been doing this for over 40 years.
Yeah.
So my last day, because I called the HR guy and I go, look, I'm going to play it your way. I'm going to be very quiet, I'm always professional, but quiet, not distracting, not loud, not possibly offensive. And I'll do it. So I did. My last day, I said, I can do this, knowing full well I had 7 days left.
Yeah.
Okay. 7 weeks, but for me, it's days. And I go to work. I have a great day following that plan. I'm warm. I'm not like cold and reserved. I'm warm. The day goes great. Last scene of the day. Now, if I know ahead of time a scene's a page long, at this point, I don't even look at it until I'm sitting on the set and we're about to rehearse it.
Really?
Before we shoot it. Yes.
Okay.
Because my mind memorizing lines only works when I've been doing it. The first 2 weeks of working are truly a nightmare for me because I have ADHD and like I said, I don't retain. Like when I learn lines for a scene, once the scene's over, it's like a faucet opens. Goodbye. And then even if I had to shoot it an hour later, I'd have to rework on it. So it's with the scenes with Troy Gentile, who plays my oldest son. Great guy, a savant, a comedic savant. Tim Meadows, Dave Koechner. That's who's in the scene. So Dave Koechner and Tim Meadows are my friends. We're watching the Eagles because Philadelphia takes place there. And we're rehearsing, and my son comes in the door with a Little Caesars pizza. And he says, hey, everybody, I got Little Caesars. And we're supposed to say, I love Little Caesars. So I say, all right, can we stop for a second? I go over to the producer and the director. I go, what the fuck is this? And they said, no. I go, I don't do commercials. I don't do commercials. That's it. I don't.
You think this was paid placement?
Hold on. No, it's great because it's going to help us pay for a new writer. And I wanted to say new writer is going to change the show to where I like it. Is Larry David being hired as the new writer? Anyhow, I go, the Little Caesars people are here, aren't they? And they go, yep. And I go, it's a fucking commercial. I go, here's the way we're going to play it. I'm talking with my friends. Before my son walks in, I go, excuse me, gentlemen, I got to use the bathroom.
Yeah, there you go.
I leave.
Right.
Son walks in. They can play it any way they want. So it took me one take to get it perfect. They didn't need a reshoot because they knew I was irritated. I walk off the set, and here was my mistake. I say loud enough because I wanted the Little Caesars people to listen, and it was a bad choice. Enjoy your commercial. To everybody who could hit with an earshot. I leave the set. There's the HR guy saying, he wasn't there for that part. Jeff, what a great day. I knew you could do it. I said, great. I see Wendy McClendon-Covey standing there. I go, I love you, Wendy. I'll see you soon. But I knew in my mind, I ain't never coming back.
Wow.
They're shooting commercials in the show. That product placement is bad enough. But this, I go, I cannot come back.
Wow.
So I don't tell anyone. I go home that night, and my manager calls me, and I said, what did I do now? Thinking I had a good day, but I knew I wasn't coming back, and I was going to talk to him about getting me out of it. He says, well, they think you're a liability and they want you to leave.
Wow.
And I said, really? I was shocked, but not shocked. So what they want you to do is shoot out your 7 days in 2 days, which on the surface, wow, get paid for 7, do 2. However, I didn't want to be dead man walking. Everyone would know. I also didn't know who was complaining about me to HR. I felt vulnerable. I felt scared, and I didn't want to be dead man walking. That might be more ego, but also it was just feeling safe. You know, you always hear that term. I didn't feel safe. And by the way, I did feel bullied by all the complaints that were made about me. No one ever looks at the other side. And that's why I also said to you, what are your sources when you hear this? It's nonsense. It's in the ether. So I, every day, would have, I go, okay. I tell my manager, I say, it's David Miner. Dave, I feel good. I can do it. The next day, no, I can't. And by the way, this is undiagnosed bipolar.
Yeah.
No, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm overwhelmed all day spinning.
Right.
I couldn't sleep. Yes, one day, the next day, I don't feel safe. I can't do it. Like that type of talking.
Yeah.
Back and forth, back and forth. Finally, we had a break week, whatever they call those, I forget. Hiatus week. And so before I went back to work, I was in Beverly Hills early in the morning, like 8, walking to my car, and I began weeping and weeping more.
Geez.
This is going to be hard for me to tell because I get in my car and I'm crying, and I don't know why. It's not even occurring to me. Oh, why are you crying? What are you sad about? And then it hits me. And I called my manager, and I said, you have to get me out of this. And also I need help because I'm killing myself this afternoon.
Yeah.
I announced it to him.
Wow.
And by the way, dead serious. I then called Susie Essman, who was one of my best friends, plays my wife. We're enemies on the show.
Yeah.
But in real life, she's a rock I count on.
Yeah.
And I called her and I began bawling, crying hysterically. And I said, Susie, you got to help me. I'm going to kill myself today. This afternoon, I'm dead. I always resent people who kill themselves with families and friends that they don't at least reach out their hand once for help.
Right.
And there was no sign of this coming unless you really saw it closely.
Yeah.
And I walked up to my house. I saw my assistant. I go, either ambulances will be here soon, something's going to happen. She goes, why? I go, you'll find out. Because I didn't want to tell her.
Did you have a plan for how you were going to do it?
Nope. But I thought, I live up on a hill. I'll jump off the hill. I wasn't ever going to shoot myself. That's not or hang. But I was going to do, like on my way home driving from feeling that way, I saw many walls I wanted to take my seatbelt off and smash head onto.
Yeah.
That's more my style. Improvised. You know what I mean? I had no plan.
So you were just in pain.
Yes, great pain.
Yeah.
And I was overwhelmed because this is not, I want to bring joy to the world. Why am I feeling like dying?
Right.
What have okay. All right, so I get home, my ex shows up with my girlfriend, who's still my girlfriend. This is a year and a half ago, who, God bless, my ex-wife, and God bless my girlfriend. She has stuck through with me by my side and helped me through all of us. Wow. Her name's Sari. She likes credit. So my friend Brad Morris came over, my best pal, and he took me in like the den for the TV room while they sat at the kitchen. And I go, I know what's going on. You're watching me, and they're looking for help. Yeah. So after 2-3 hours, they call me into the other room with Brad, and he and I were watching sports of some sort. And I did calm down some being with him, but I still was going to do it.
Yeah.
It was like, get your shit together because I'm out of here.
Right.
And at the table, they said, we found 2 places that will deal with the bipolar and the suicide ideations, or this was like, I guess, past ideations.
Yeah.
I was in the middle I was right before committing.
Yeah.
Whether I'd be successful, I don't know. By the way, my style, I probably wouldn't be successful. I'd jump the hill, break a lot of bones. Hi, everybody, I'm back again. Driving to the wall, my airbag will save me.
Right.
You know, all right, so they said, there's a great place in Beverly Hills. It's in the hills. No one knows that it's there. It's private. And the other one, it's middle of winter, mind you. This is in December or late November. The other one's in Cincinnati. Uh-huh. And I go, I know where I'm going. Yeah. I'm going to Cincinnati. I go to Beverly Hills. I can't take that, let alone other people from appearance. I can't take that seriously. Yeah, right. And I've heard stories of like Lindsay Lohan going out shopping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they treat celebrities different. Yeah. Cincinnati, there were a lot of people who loved Curb. Yeah. Nobody gave a shit. Yeah. I was there for a purpose. So in Cincinnati, the Lindor Center, I started learning dialectic behavior therapy.
I've done it.
Oh, so you know.
Yeah,
it's a gift.
You can have 2 ideas that are concurrent.
Yes, and where they cross over, that's right. Wise mind.
You can say, I'm having a hard time, and I know I'm a strong person and we'll get through this.
But yeah, it's basically, here's how I feel.
Yeah.
Here's the reality.
Yeah.
And where it crosses is like the area,
right.
wise mind. And if you can deal with where it crosses, you're good.
Right.
So I learned this. Now, while I'm in Cincinnati, and I've been there like 5 days at this point, not feeling suicidal anymore, feeling kind of positive. Well, my psychiatrist there goes, do you read the paper? I go, no, we get our phones for like an hour. Why would I read the news? The next morning when I got my phone for an hour, I received emails from old friends. You'll get over this. This will be fine. And I'm like, how do they know that I was going to commit suicide? Yeah. Has this been public? Uh-huh. So I Googled my name. And there it was. And it was Deadline Hollywood. I want to give them credit for spreading whatever they spread.
Yeah.
Okay? I know they're a source for a lot of things in Hollywood. And they're also a source for, it wasn't TMZ, which they picked up on it, don't get me wrong. But that was the only time I read. I didn't go
back.
What
did it say?
It said it said the asshole parts.
Yeah.
It said that when they announced it wasn't going to be the show anymore, there were cheers. I am still close friends that work on the show. Yeah. The DP, the producer, the writers. To a person, they told me that never happened.
Yeah.
They said there was a few people in the back. Right. However, I said, who was it? They go, I didn't see them.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to tell me because that would have become something else.
Right.
Anyhow, and then it mentioned things, I don't want to even repeat them. They're goofy. Like one was that I said the word vagina. A camera woman was offended, so I hugged her and yelled vagina over and over and over again. Yeah. Funny, but not funny.
Yeah.
And it ain't something I did. Right. So everything, they named some lecherous shit.
Wow.
Not one of them. I was like, I didn't do that. You know, I knew that I didn't do any of them because sometimes you're not sure.
Yeah.
They weren't funny.
Yeah.
Not one of them was something. Not one of them was he sings songs about his grandma's balls.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It was none of the nonsense. It was like, this is So I went into shock. Literally, they had to wrap blankets around me. I was in shock.
Oh, God.
And it was a struggle every day. I thought when I left there, no one was going to look me in the eye, that everyone would boo me like whenever I went in public, people would boo. This is what was in my head.
Yeah.
I called some friends who've been through this, and they were very supportive, and everything they told me came true for me. Some of them said, I'm hated. This is nothing. And I still felt the world was coming down on me. So if I wasn't, by the way, I can say flat out, if this had happened when I was in LA, we wouldn't be talking now.
Yeah.
I would be dead, unequivocally.
Right.
Because look.
Did you think about suing Deadline for printing that?
No. It's not.
Just drags
well,
it
here's
out.
the thing. What good did it do? Look at Johnny Depp. Yes, he's coming out in a movie, but rehashing and even winning that with him. Did he really win?
Yeah.
It just brought it all back.
Right.
And now when we think of Johnny Depp, we think of that.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot to sue.
But I looked at your IMDb page earlier today. You had maybe a year off. Maybe you had a year where things slowed down because of that incident, and you're right back in the business again.
Well, I want to elaborate on that right now because I want to be clear, because I understand the resentment. By the way, I'm woke because that means something different than the Republican adjective. Right. I believe, I don't want to say I believed strongly and still believe in Me Too. Mm-hmm. There are scumbags out there. There are criminals out there who disrespect women.
Yeah.
But by the way, not in the same numbers. I know women who strongly disrespect women on many levels.
Yeah.
And in Hollywood, the people that are worse to women are other women.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a shocker. But also, there are women that I know from other stories of comedians who've been, I don't want to say sexually assaulted, but mistreated in a way that if a guy did that, he'd never work again.
Sure.
Now, that being said, I believe in the Me Too movement. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying women too.
Black
They gotta
Lives
be
Matter.
equal. Yeah, Black Lives. I am all in.
Right.
And by the way, however you want to be identified, I will identify you as that.
Sure.
But please be patient.
Yeah.
Because I might your how you want to be your surname. I mean your prefix. Anyhow, point being is, I am in on all of it. I radically accept it. And that doesn't mean I agree with all of it.
Yeah.
But I fucking accept it.
Well, and that also puts you in a place where, I mean, you're a beloved guy. You have a lot of credit built up for something, for this
I
incident
appreciate
to happen.
that, but that was not in my head.
I'm sure it wasn't.
But what hit me hard, all of it hit me hard. But later on, when I did self-reflection there and later on, I was like, all right, what was your part of it, man? Especially in recovery.
Yeah.
You really have to say that with resentments. And I singled out, what did I do? What they did is none of my business.
Yeah.
What I did is my business, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
I can understand people not liking me, not wanting to. By the way, that has never happened before the Goldbergs. It has never happened after. I've done another season of Curb. I did the show recently, Never Have I Ever, which is coming out on Netflix. This is the weirdest plug ever. But my behavior on that set, I was certainly quieter, but I was me, and they accepted me and no problems. It was this one little hitch. So whenever there's focus on, and also it's the most press the Goldbergs ever got in 10 seasons.
Right.
But the thing that hit me hard was, I've worked my whole life, and this is something I've worked towards, to be kind, to ease people's pain. And I didn't want fame. I want success. I didn't want fame, but I wanted to be beloved.
Yeah.
And as a comedian, if you last and you get older and you have kindness in your heart, you're fucking beloved.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. And so when I saw the Lothario bullshit, negative, sexist, piece of shit things that were said about me, I went into shock and I had a massive breakdown because...
Well, it was the mental illness that they should be mad at.
Well, by the way...
You were going through something.
No. I'm going to use this word could. They could have been more sensitive. Sony HR could have said, are you okay, Jeff? What's going on?
Right.
By the way, the unfortunate thing for me now working is I have to meet with the HR department before I go to work, even at HBO, where I've had a clean slate. And what was amazing to me was how supportive the HR departments were with me in terms of, what can we do for you?
Right.
You're bipolar, you have ADHD, you have these health problems. What we can, and the first time it happened, which was HBO, I burst out in tears. And my manager was on, and the head of HBO Comedy, she was crying because she knows me, and she saw how much pain I was in. And I was like, wow, HR department really means human resources. And they're not witch hunt resources.
That's nice.
And so that was a feeling I never got at Sony, and that's the feeling I got from Universal, who did Never Have I Ever, and it's the feeling that I really got from HBO. And look, if someone wants to do their due diligence on me, don't do it through Google, man, unless you see it's a New York, even New York Times, doesn't matter.
Right.
Meet me, talk to me, and hear my perspective. But that's always, so like I said, what are your sources? Right. And what I like to do is be present, say what I do. You know what, Universal, they held up a big card on the screen with 24 things they don't want you to do. And I looked at them. I didn't think any of them were unreasonable, except don't talk about your personal life with people you work with. Well, lifelong friendships are made on sets. So a lot of it, look, I had to accept all of it, radical acceptance. I didn't agree with some of it. Most of it I did. So when they were done showing it to me and going over it, I said, look, I accept all of it. But I need you to know I will make mistakes. Not, is it egregious? What's it?
Egregious?
Egregious mistakes. They'll be innocent mistakes, but they will fall in one of these categories. And please be patient with me. And I'm glad to talk to you about any of them. And I will do my best not to repeat it, but they're going to happen. By the way, they didn't happen. The closest it happened was someone... someone on the set was wearing their mask because it was still COVID stuff. And on their mask, their glass shield, it said they, them. And I was so thankful, and I thanked them. And then I talked about it in my stand-up. What a wonderful thing if we could only have hats that say how we want to be identified. I told her, she was nonplussed. You made fun of me? I go, no. I had to explain. Right. She was also a person that I learned not much of a sense of humor. Well, but very nice, by the way, and forgiving of me. Right. She wasn't mad enough to go, I'm going to, no. She was forgiving. She accepted my apology. Right. She knew I didn't mean it ill well because I explained nothing made fun of her and nothing made fun of her movement. You know? But
it is tough when you go through that transition to another, being addressed a different way. You got to have some sense. You know what
I'm just realizing?
What?
Everyone's always asking me what happened with the Goldbergs. I've never said anything till now.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it.
Wow.
I wasn't even thinking, I wonder if it'll come up. Yeah. But I'm very proud of myself. Yeah. Because it's my fault. It is my fault.
How often do you hear that? You don't hear that ever.
I learned from all the people saying, blaming and defending, and you look like a total fool. Yeah. What did you bring to it? Mm-hmm. Which means you're remotely enlightened.
And you may change because of it. You can actually go through
By the way,
growth.
My girlfriend gave me the highest compliment. And
you have a huge cock?
By the way, that has never come up. Average size, but who the hell says, your penis is average size? No, she said she has never seen anybody dive head first into becoming better.
Yeah.
So by the way, I still have some trauma, some small amount. I still am activated by certain things. Mm-hmm. When people in the press talk about it or something, it comes up. By the way, what's shocking, maybe I am over it. I didn't react strongly when you said it, when you mentioned it.
No, and it was a glancing mention. It was certainly not an interrogation. I hope you didn't take it that way. That's
no.
On the spot.
Hold on. It was as passive as a mention could be, which I appreciate. But I still am doing work on it to be a better man. Yeah. I mean, to be in recovery, to have hours and hours of therapy every week. Yeah. I got to eat healthy. I'm diabetic, I have to, I got to do everything in my life to be the best man I can be.
That's all.
And that also means being of service and I think our job is being of service. Yeah. When people go, it's not as important as brain surgery. I go, if you're dying and you have a brain issue, it's not more important. If your brain's fine, no, I'm more important. Yeah.
Especially if you're sharing this struggle that you had and that you went into it head first and you stayed with it. Yep. That's a lesson to people. You were suicidal. And
yes, I hope it's inspiring to anyone.
Yes, it's inspiring to me.
I hope it's inspiring to bipolar people. Right. Or people that have faced shit like me. Yeah. But I don't talk about the Goldbergs in my stand-up. Yeah. Right now it's not necessary. I'm thinking of doing a Broadway or off-Broadway show. And if I do, everything will be in there the way I talked about it with you, but funnier. Right. But I do talk about my bipolar on stage. I do talk about, and I'm discovering what about it I can have be funny. Right. I mean, it's not what they'll allow to be funny, what will work funny. Because it's not just me revealing I'm bipolar. Yeah. It's entertaining them with my bipolar. Yeah. Yet it's completely honest. Yeah. Because my job is not to enlighten. My job is to make them laugh. If I enlighten them, if I make them feel better, if I make them feel warm, if I inspire them, that's bonus shit. Yeah. That's icing on the cake. Yeah. And I don't control that. Right. All I can control is being honest. I'm real. If I say a lie, it's a complete absurdism and they know it. Yes. Nonsense. Yeah. But other than that, like I was talking about, well, although it's not that absurd because I would do it, but I'll explain in a second. But I was on stage tonight and my girlfriend is having trouble with our age difference.
How old is she?
She's in her 40s. I'm 60. Okay. Which in Hollywood means she's 80. Okay. So... And by the way, I love her madly, and this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. But she's having some trouble dealing with it. 2.5 years in.
Yeah.
So I talked about it on stage, and all the stuff I said, and I was honest about it, did great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see how it develops and talk about it. But my opening line was, and it was improvised. I didn't know it was coming. I said, my girlfriend is really having trouble with our age difference. She's unsure if we can move forward. She's 75, I'm 60. And the audience laughed. But that being said, I'm watching, and by the way, I didn't look for a woman in her 40s. I wanted someone my age, a little bit younger, a little bit older. Yeah. That's what my goal was. But you can't stick to that because that's entitled and stupid.
How did you meet her?
Set up from her friends set us up.
Okay.
And we fell in love. Yeah. And we also clicked on so many ways. Mm-hmm. And we both accept each other, except her from my age currently. So I forgot.
What does she do for work?
She was a film editor, and now she's still my film editor, but she's she just got her master's in psychology.
No shit.
Which I think she needs to do to deal with a bipolar ADHD boyfriend.
All right, listen, I have a segment that I do that's called
Grandma's Balls.
It's called Grandma's Balls. We have photos, and fastballs with Fitz. These are 3 questions I ask every one of my comedian guests.
Okay.
Number 1, have you ever not finished a set on stage?
Once. I was throwing up and I didn't know why. Before, this is at Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago because it's so clear. And I was throwing up before I went on stage. Now, I've gone on
Did you stand up? This is a play.
This is a one-man show, but it's stand-up.
Right.
It's theatrical stand. Well, it's all you know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Performing. And I didn't really know what was wrong. I thought I might have the flu. I've performed with the flu before. Mm-hmm. And the way it works for us is we'll have the flu or something. We feel like shit. We go on stage, we don't feel a thing.
Yep.
And then you come off stage and you feel twice as bad as you did. Okay. So I figured that what was going to happen. I'd be fine. Well, I had to leave the stage 10 minutes, 15 minutes in to go throw up. Came back out. Went throw up, and I realized, I came out and I said, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot continue. Something's going on me. What they find out was, I got rushed to the hospital. I had a virus, and I was dehydrated. So I was in the hospital for overnight with hydration galore.
Shit.
Yeah, and I felt better. But it was still it was a good week before, but I still did shows.
You did?
After not the next night, but as soon as I could after that.
Yeah.
I went right back up to doing it.
Wow.
Because that's what we do.
So we do. It's true. I mean, somebody asked me the other night how many shows I've missed from being sick in my career. I think 2.
All right. I've had 2 too.
Yeah.
My other one was I was doing my first HBO special. Netflix special. Do you know I had the first Netflix special? No one knows that.
No shit.
Yeah, it says on Wikipedia, Bill Burr. But mine was way before that.
But you did HBO specials before it was Showtime specials.
I did a HBO half hour.
Okay.
Which is called We're Not Sure.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle did it in my group.
Yeah.
It was a really fun group. We filmed them in San Francisco. Anyhow, so this Netflix special, Bob Odenkirk directed it.
Nice.
And he and I are walking around Chicago during the day. We're shooting things for the opening, talking about stuff. I've lost my voice.
Oh, shit.
And I'm talking to him like this. So we decide, go back to your room, have some tea. Then he found a doctor. I went to the doctor. They gave me like a steroid, a shot, here and there. And they told me.
And the show was that night?
They sprayed me, I got there, I couldn't speak. So I had to cancel the show. And I was shooting it on film because there was no indifference to that. I mean, there was indifference as opposed to strong opinions. Shooting it, I believe Super 16, we were shooting it.
This was the HBO one or the Netflix one?
Netflix one, the first Netflix. It's called Young and Handsome. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it's the first one. I also was the director of the first Netflix movie.
Really?
Yeah, it was a one-man show of John Waters called This Filthy World, brought to you by Red Envelope.
You directed John Waters?
I directed John Waters.
Wow.
And I told John, I go, I'm not going to do a lot of camera movement because you're theatrical.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you speak for it. Very slow camera movements and stuff. But that was the first ever. It wasn't considered a special. And it was shot to be a movie.
Yeah.
Like it played in some theaters, you know? So I have a long history with Netflix.
Wow.
You know?
That's
and,
amazing.
but wait, I was going to tell you one more thing about the first ever, the stand-up thing. Oh, no. So then I had a horrible thing happen, which was, we'll come back and shoot it, but you can't shoot two. You have to shoot one, and you have to give the other one away. We need two special, because my producer on it didn't get insurance.
Oh.
So all lost. So I did one, and they said, you can pick any comedian. I picked Dana Gould. So
I was just going to say it was Dana Gould.
Yes.
I remember
filmed it
this.
at Second City.
Yeah.
Odenkirk directed it, and it ended up being on Showtime, not Netflix. But, so that was my adventure, 2 adventures of being sick. Sorry it was so long-winded.
It's good. There are 2 types of people in the world.
Yeah.
Go.
People who get it and people who don't. Because I do not think that people are inherently evil.
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
Yeah.
But I think that they're not enlightened. I think they haven't experienced things they're not looking at the world with clear glasses. Mm-hmm. So either you get it or you don't.
Yeah.
That's my world.
And
even if you partially get it, you can fall on one side or the other. Mm-hmm. If you partially don't get it, you know, who knows? There's levels to it.
Yeah.
But it's get it, don't get it.
Finally, what's the hackiest bit you've ever done?
Ever done? Holy crap. Well, generally, whenever I improvise one, I'll immediately tell the audience, that was easy, that was low-hanging fruit, and you will never hear it again. Yeah. So in terms of a hacky bit, I don't really recall, but I'm going to tell you my set. I'm not going to do it, but my set the first time I went up on stage. And it was 2 things. This joke. You know, when I was in school, the teacher said to me one time when I said, can I go to the bathroom? She said, I don't know, can you? And she was trying to teach me to say, may I? And I said, my response would have been, yes, I can. And I peed on her desk. That was the first joke I went up with. Yeah. And that went into a monologue it went into my Adam West impression. You know,
Batman?
Yeah, which, by the way, was the only good thing from it.
Yeah.
You know, hello, Commissioner Gordon, the Riddler, and the Catwoman, Adam West.
Wow.
As Batman. All right.
Sound like Jeff Goldblum a little bit.
Yeah, well, by the way, but if you do it lighter, it's Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
All right. Not that I've ever done him before, but I realize that. By the way, if you want gold, watch the season that he was on Law and Order.
Adam West?
No, Jeff Goldblum.
Oh.
Because at all times he's Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
He looks at the body, he stares at people, he touches people inappropriately, he stares inappropriately, and he says these things that a detective, awesome. Sorry for yelling,
something
everybody.
Magic about him.
Oh, he's so
just
magical.
Magic.
And then my closer was, I swear to God, a monologue from Stripes. It was Bill Murray's monologue when they all went, Lee Harvey, you are a madman. You know,
I want to party with you, cowboy.
You know, and going through the thing.
And the stories that you tell.
Yeah. So I did that monologue and I walked off stage. So that was beginning.
All right.
But I'm sure I had some hacky stuff in between, but nothing that stands out.
All right. Finally, we go out with a segment called Talk Your Way Out of It.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a situation, and you are going to look at me as if I'm the person, and you're going to talk your way out of the situation.
Easy.
Okay. You die.
This is right up my alley.
Yeah.
Okay.
You die.
Okay, this is bad already. First off, I don't know what goes on after we die.
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
You die.
Yeah.
It turns out
there
is a God. God.
Well, by the way, I believe in God.
Okay, well, now you're at St. Peter's Gate.
Yeah, I'm a
And
Jew.
he's got video.
I'm a Jew at St. Peter's Gate. Okay, keep going. Keep going. I want to hear
You
it.
become Catholic as you die.
Yeah.
You go to St. Peter's Gate.
No, I don't, but I'll go with it.
He's got an iPad with things that you've done, the most horrible things you've done in your life.
Yes.
You want to get in.
Yes.
Talk your way out of it.
Okay. Why do I feel like calling him Your Honor? Sir, I don't even know. He could be a woman, but sir or you. You or hey. Look, the iPad, you can get something better. Just know that. Even your iPhone will work better than an iPad, but you should definitely have a desktop up here. You can work so much quicker on a desktop. And also, what are your sources? As you're reading these things about me, what are your sources? Now, why don't you do me a favor? I'll come back. I'm going to hang out over there. And when you have all good sources, the ones that are good sources, we'll discuss. And then odds are I'm coming in because I've not done anything that bad. Things that there's your phone. Things you may have looked down on.
Yeah.
But nothing that would not gain me admittance. And let me tell you something else. I will cop to everything that I did, but you got to have good sources.
Jeff Garlin, it's been an honor to have you on the podcast.
An honor and a pleasure, young lady.
Thank you so much. And look for Jeff Garlin at, do you have a website?
Yeah, I do. JeffGarlin.com, now that I think about it, which is growing. I'm going to be having, it's got a lot of stuff about where you can see me, which is nowhere right now except Flappers on Sundays, although I'm taking a big break. I'm going to New York. You can probably see me at the Comedy Cellar coming up in New York. Yeah. But my website's going to have my photographs because I've had photography shows. I'm doing a book. And my website's going to have a comic strip called Horsecock Johnson.
I love it.
And Horsecock Johnson was J.B. Smoove as Leon on Curb. He said we were talking about the Big Johnson community, and I whispered to him in between takes, tell Larry that Horsecock Johnson is the head of the Big Johnson community. He said it. Larry, of course, Larry laughs hard in the middle of scenes. He exploded, but we shot it again. Anyhow, I thought, this is only about 6 months ago, I thought, well, I came up with it. I trademarked it.
I love it.
And JB has said, draw me as Horsecock Johnson. So I'm planning on a Horsecock Johnson strip. It'll be my photography and what you can see, where news, all that. So go there now.
Yeah.
Bookmark it.
Come back
in 6
look
months.
for dates in the fall.
Yeah, or the Horsecock Johnson, or my photography, or all of it.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. God bless.
God bless you, Greg, for all the work you do with young people.
I do a lot.
I know.
All right.